Welcome to another edition of Cheers to Careers. I'm Steve Ridinghouse, the Career Outreach Coordinator at the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at KU.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Cheers to Careers. I'm Steve Ridinghouse, the Career and Outreach Coordinator at the KU School of Journalism and Mass Communications. Today we are joined by J-School grad Hannah Bettis. She's the Director of Football Creative at Utah. Welcome, Hannah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So before we get started, I guess welcome to the Big 12. I guess that's going to happen soon. What was your reaction when you found out Utah was going to be part of the Big 12?
I'm not excited for Utah to play KU. I've always said that was like my biggest nightmare because I grew up as a huge KU fan, but I think it'll be a good move.
And I know we were just talking briefly a while ago. You became Director of Football Creative at the University of Utah just this summer, a few months ago. Before then, you were a content creator, is that correct?
No, before then I was assistant creative director and then content creator before that.
So when you started at Utah just out of college, was that always the plan to just kind of slowly move up, or I assume you like what you do?
No, honestly, I thought I would just try it for a couple years and see. I had never been to Utah before, so it was just kind of a learning experience, and then I really grew to enjoy it, so that's why I stuck around.
I know you sent some awesome photos. I remember seeing that photo years ago of you courtside next to David McCormick. So are you still taking photos, or are you pretty much behind the scenes, or what is your role right now?
Yeah, so in my current role, I run all our social media, and then I also take photos on game days, take videos here and there whenever it's required for social.
And when you were at KU, is this the kind of career you envisioned? I know you're really involved with KU athletics, doing a lot with content creation there. So what was kind of your plan?
Yeah, so I started out with the football team at KU in my sophomore year. And I was with the recruiting team there, so I worked on recruiting graphics and stuff, and then also got to take photos and videos along the way, just kind of learned on the fly, and that worked really well for me. And then my junior year, I started working with athletics as well, so I was able to add in basketball and some other random sports like tennis and rowing here and there.
Can you speak about how, just sports and social media, creativity, it's really exploded in recent years, right? You've got a lot of responsibility with the game day production, promotion. I know like now every big time football program has the big screen, the interactive content. So are you constantly feeding that content?
Yeah, I'm not in charge of Jumbotron stuff personally, but all the social content is still kind of a beast to keep up with. But this industry has definitely exploded in the past few years. I know it was kind of first starting out when I was in college. I would say I was kind of on the brink of the early years, and it's just grown exponentially since then.
And how do you keep up with the demands of the job? The way it's always constantly changing. How do you keep everything fresh and manage all the content that's coming your way?
Yeah, keeping things fresh, I just try to stay on top of all the trends and everything. That's huge for me. Making sure we're not behind on something, or if there is a trend to hop on, that we need to hop on it like in the next couple days before it just grows stale. So a lot of my job is honestly looking at other people's content and taking inspiration from that and using that to develop our own brand in a way that makes sense for Utah's brand instead of, say, something another school did.
And how much creative freedom do you have in the workplace? I know when I talk to creatives, that's always a big selling point, where, yeah, they got to produce the content, but at the same time, they want a little bit of freedom. Do you feel like you have some freedom in the direction of your creative work?
I have quite a bit. I really enjoy that part of my job, that I'm able to be flexible with the brand and we're able to just have it be ever changing.
And do you get to travel with the youths any? Did you get to go to the Rose Bowl earlier
I
this
did.
year?
I
Awesome.
did.
What was your role for that? Did you take a lot of photos or?
Yeah, it was mainly photos. So when we go travel for a bowl game, it's all the random side activities that people don't think of that you also have to cover. Like we went to Disney World and we went to a wax museum and just all these random things like the Lowry's Beef Bowl. And so I was in charge of leading the creative team there and making sure we had content put together as like a recap after that for the whole bowl experience and then the game as well.
And is most of your work, I'm sure you're working every day, but is the bulk of your work done pre-game, or do you do a lot of in-game stuff as well?
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff beforehand. We try to prep as much as we can, and then in game I'm just taking photos, so that's my main priority there.
And I think I read too in your LinkedIn bio, you're involved with recruitment communications too.
Mhm.
I would assume that's pretty intense. I mean, with
Yeah,
major
yeah,
college football.
that's a lot to handle. So signing day is a big piece of what we do in December. That's a big campaign that we have to plan out and get on top of. And then we also have official visitors coming all the time. So coordinating those efforts, sending out recruiting graphics during the week, like it's a big undertaking.
And speaking of signing day, I've always wondered how that works. I mean, are you in contact with every signee? Because I know, you have their photo, their bio, you might have some video clips. I mean, that sounds like that's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, yeah. So the bulk of the visit in June, and that's our main recruiting weekends and everything. So then we archive that content, catalog it how we need to, and then just take those photos and videos and try to plan ahead with in June with what we're doing in December. Which is always hard, but that's just the way it goes. You just have to plan ahead there.
So, Hannah, did you always have a love for sports, football, or did that just kind of happen?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think from when I was born to when I graduated KU, I had missed 5 home games for football total. But it was interesting just seeing my progression because I grew up going to all the games with my family and stuff, but I never really started paying attention to the actual football game until high school. I was always just reading a book in the stands, which is kind of funny. So once we hit high school, then I was paying more attention to the games and getting more involved in that. So I've loved sports in that way, but I definitely wasn't paying attention as much to football growing up.
At, at one point, did you realize you could kind of combine your creative ability with sports and football? Was there a light that went off one day and said, "Oh my God, I can make a career out of this"?
Not really, honestly. There was our recruiting director at the time, Tyler Olker. He's at TCU now, and he had posted that he was looking for a design intern. And so I reached out. I was in the design program at the time, and along with journalism. And so I reached out and we just set up that kind of partnership internship from there. And that was kind of the moment that I was like, okay, I really like this and I think I can do something with it. But it wasn't really until I had seen the job listing that I was inspired by that.
And your role with KU athletics, I mean, that kind of set the tone for what you do now, right? I mean, that kind of prepared you.
Absolutely. Yeah, my internship experience was invaluable. And if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have gotten this job.
And I think I also read you also had an internship with Populous, correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
What was your role with Populous?
I was a marketing intern, so I helped with a lot of their like planning, project proposals, that sort of thing. It was more design work than anything, and then also helping with some like PR along the way. But I did my internship with them, and then shortly after I did a let's see, no, I did my campaigns project with them first, and then I did my internship with them because I did campaigns in my junior year.
So did your KU athletics role and Populous internship, did those overlap?
No, it was in the summer and then
Okay.
in the winter when I did Populous.
I know here at KU, we take a lot of pride in our students getting internships. What kind of advice do you have for students? I mean, how important are internships?
They're so important. They're like, I would say the lifeblood of getting a job, especially in athletics. I'm not honestly able to hire someone unless they have that athletic internship experience because it's so different from any other industry. So I would say like reach out to your athletic department, and that's a huge, huge way to get involved. And they're always looking for more people to get involved. There's always sports to cover. And the biggest thing I think that's important to keep in mind is to work your way up. You don't always start in basketball or football right away. And that's something that a lot of people have to learn is you got to work your way up and be talented with those other sports, and then you can break into the maybe more desirable sports to shoot. Although having that like breadth in your whole portfolio is really important to me.
So at KU, did you get to work with multiple sports? I know
Mhm. Yeah.
before you got to basketball.
Mhm.
What did you gain by doing that? I mean, was it kind of the same thing, or did you have to feel like you had to pay your dues somewhat?
Yeah, it was similar work. I kind of lucked out because I started with football, so I didn't have to kind of like pay my dues in that sense, but it was really important, I think, for me to learn a different way of shooting photography instead of just shooting football games, because football, basketball, tennis, rowing. Like everything is so different with the way you have to anticipate taking the photos and making sure the social content is aligned with each individual brand. So I think that helped me a lot to kind of expand my portfolio there.
And how big is your football creative team? Do you have quite a few people under you?
We have two people currently. So it's just myself and a graphic designer. We have an assistant creative director, but he's leaving at the end of the week. So, and then we also have a video team with athletics that we work closely with, and then a manager of photography also in athletics. And so they do a lot of support for us on game day or for big events.
And who would you be reporting to?
I am reporting basically to our director of ops, our head coach in a sense, honestly, keeping up with recruiting stuff as well, our recruiting general manager too.
And you get a lot of say in the direction you want to go? I mean, is there kind of that give and take?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's lots of suggestions that they'll bring to me, which is really nice. Seeing things from other schools and just kind of trying to expand what we're doing creatively. But yeah, we're able to like kind of take the brand however we want.
And during your time at KU, obviously you were really busy with schoolwork and internships. Were you involved? Do you have any time to be involved in any sort of clubs or any other activities?
Yeah, so when I was first on campus, my freshman year, I don't know that they still have this anymore, but I started this food blog called Spoon University, and I started a chapter at KU. It was just something that I wanted to do creatively. And then after about a couple semesters of running it, I realized I don't even really like writing about food. So I kind of ditched that. I don't think it's around anymore, but that was something that was just like something I wanted to try. Go ahead and try for something like that. And then I was also involved in my sorority, making graphic design for them, being PR chair.
And I'm not sure if you're still involved with this, but I think I saw you were doing something like called Hannah with camera. Is that something you started in high school?
Yeah, I started that in high school. I don't really keep up with it anymore. It's a lot to keep up with, honestly, but it was just outfit blogging, that sort of thing. It was just a fun side project in a way to document my college experience. I'm really grateful I did it, but I just don't keep up with it anymore. The demand's too high.
So was that kind of your first taste of the influencer
Yeah,
role?
yeah, absolutely.
So have you always liked photography?
Yeah, I have. I started taking sports photos specifically when I was in high school when my younger brother played football. So I just kind of learned that way.
And I know you touched on this a little bit earlier about various sports and try to anticipate. I mean, what are some of the keys to getting that good sports photo?
Honestly, a lot of it is knowing the team, knowing the plays, trying to anticipate that. And then also just kind of focusing on the shot that you're going for, which sounds almost too simple, but it's trying to decide ahead of time if you want the photo of just the action or if you want to tell a broader story of a zoomed out photo and you have all the fans cheering around you, something like that.
So Hannah, do you have any advice for students, soon to be graduates that are thinking about this as a career? I mean, creative work in sports?
Yeah, I would say reach out to people, post your work on Twitter. That's the most important thing. On Twitter or on Instagram, there's a huge social media sports community under hashtag SM Sports. And that's how I really got into it when I was in college, just making a ton of connections that way. And you can meet other interns at different schools or follow creative directors at different schools. I think that's really, really important. And when I got my job, there wasn't a position open. I just knew I wanted to work in sports. So I had a whole spreadsheet of probably like 60 plus jobs that I applied for. And then there was one night I reached out to every creative director in the Pac-12 and the ACC, and then the Big 12 and the SEC, and just kept going from there. And I know that's not like the conventional way to do it. I guess it's the old school way to do it. But that's how I got my job today because my boss at the time said, yeah, we have something, but it's not open yet. Let's talk about it. So we talked on the phone several times and it just seemed to be a really good fit.
Awesome. Well, Hannah, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about your career, especially with your director of football creative at the University of Utah. It sounds fascinating. I know you're well known for your creativity here and taking all those awesome photos and social media content. I don't know if you were able to grab any sort of cup.
Yeah.
I think you might have I always like to close with a cheers. Oh, nice. That's fancy. Well, cheers to Hannah's career. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thanks, Hannah.